Mississippi for Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi. We're pleased to welcome now Pat Bennett, Board President, Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi. Pat, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me and for hosting us today.
You bet. Glad to be here. So how long you been on the board?
I believe I joined the board in 2018.
Okay. So about 6 years, and
Yes.
now you're serving as the president. Right?
That is correct.
Yeah. So what did those duties entail? You guys just provide sort of standard oversight and governance to the organization itself?
We do that, but we do more than that in that this is a nonprofit organization, and so we are more actively involved in our programming and in raising funds and getting out in the community and help spreading the word about what child advocacy centers in Mississippi do.
So you're an advocate for the children's advocacy centers, essentially.
That is correct.
Yeah,
that is
interesting.
correct.
So you're more of a working role as a board member.
It is very much a working role in terms of what we do, yes.
Yeah. So there are multiple centers across the state, is that correct?
That is correct. And so we work with those centers, but we have the board that helps with all of the centers, and that is the Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi. And so we provide assistance to the centers across the state, the CACs, and help them in terms of with their certification, with funding, providing services, and very much with training.
I know a big part of the organization's work is just addressing situations where child abuse exists, but the organization also is involved in just developing parents, right? Just training them how to be good parents.
That is correct. We try to take, we do take a holistic approach to all of this. And so we are looking to help and protect children, and to do that, we must oftentimes work with the entire family there. And so that is a part of it, and not just, sometimes individuals may think that the role is just to help with the prosecution, but it is not. It is providing services to the children even after they have been abused or any maltreatment there, and that goes from medical services to psychological services that we provide, as well as in terms of helping the family make adjustments. Because if there's any way where it is not something that is a felony abuse or something like that, and we can keep the family together with training, certainly we take that approach to try to do that.
Yeah. I mean, some of these situations are really heartbreaking. How do you guys deal with that? How do you kind of keep your wits about you when you're dealing with such difficult situations, challenging situations? Is it just a motivation because you're trying to protect a child and you know there's a need there?
Well, certainly that is the primary goal here, to protect the children, and we recognize the need. My role is a little different because my background is in prosecution. I'm a lawyer, and so I have prosecuted cases of child abuse and domestic violence in my career. And so it was in probably 1982 when I started working with abused children, serving on different boards who had an interest in doing that. But also it was my professional career to look to protect children and working with them. So yes, it is a passion that I have had, but with our board, most board members come from a background where they have had some community involvement in the medical field or social work or something in working with the children. And then we have others who are bankers and all on the board who have a real interest in the community work of helping children, because we see as we transform these lives, we are transforming Mississippi in terms of helping the families and in particular helping the children.
So Pat, how important, how critical is it to recognize these possible abusive situations and to address them. And I know sometimes that could involve removing the child from an abusive household, essentially to kind of salvage the child and ensure that they are able to progress and become a healthy, productive adult. It's important, is it not, to get to that early on?
Yes, that is very important, and that's what we do in training with students, this CAS program that we are here today talking about.
Yeah.
So students will be able to recognize professionally when there is a problem, to identify it, to report it, and work on ways of addressing that. So training is a very critical part of what we do in working with students, but with working with the children, we provide the services to them to let them know that in reporting, we give them a safe place to do that. And we try not to have the child traumatized anymore. And so that's why we have, in terms of the multidisciplinary team approach, where the doctors, the prosecutors, the law enforcement, social workers, all will come together to find out what is going on with the child, so you won't keep shuffling the child around from place to place and having the child repeat the story, because again, to do that could end up traumatizing the child all over again and again.
Got to make the right call there. And,
yes.
And so you guys work as a team. You talked about the interdisciplinary team to reach those conclusions on the proper action to take.
That is correct. And law enforcement, prosecutors are involved in this also, to step in and help identify whether it's going to be a misdemeanor, a felony, or whether what is taking place is in violation of the law. And it's important for social workers too, because all of it's not just abuse per se. Some can be neglect, maltreatment, and all of this. So you need others coming in to help identify and see what the standard is for addressing the need.
And sometimes, Pat, with your legal background, a judge, a chancery, right, could get, Chancellor, I should say, could get involved in some of these critical decisions. Is that right?
Yes, but more often it's going to be youth courts.
Okay.
And so, youth courts, but sometimes it can be a chancellor, because sometimes these issues or the problem is identified during the course of a divorce or something else that may come up in chancery court. But when we look to the children and providing for them, you're usually going to be going to youth court, chancery court. And if there is felony abuse, it could actually end up with prosecution in circuit court.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a close friend who's a circuit court judge in my home county, and of course can't disclose any names, but some of the stories that have affected him. It's hard to sit on that bench and be totally unaffected. They're still human beings. May not show that in the courtroom, but they take it away with them, away from the court.
That is correct. And, you have to know when to kind of step back from this and not to take it all so personal and to take it home with you. In working with students and helping to train students, I always would tell them, the cases come in, and it's going to be, no matter how much experience you have, you will be affected by that, but you can't take it home with you, and you can't get burned out. You can't just, over and over, day in and day out to do this. You're going to have to find some other mechanism to relieve some of this and to do some other things too. So there are times when you are in 100%, and then you need to take a break and do something else for a while, focus on something else, and pull back to, rejuvenate, and then go back in again to start again.
That's great advice. We got about a minute left. How valuable are these CAS programs to training these workers to take on this work?
They are most valuable, because what they are doing, they are showing this, working with students to show them what needs to be done to identify and how to address it, and they get experiential learning experience, and I think that's the most important part.
Yeah, absolutely. Pat, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Folks, we're at the University of Southern Mississippi. We're here for the Children's Advocacy Centers of